Steve, I keep telling these guys all the time, and I might be wrong, but I doubt it. This will be one of the greatest Mr. Olympias of all time.
So
I agree with you.
Hey, what's going on, guys? EP09 Fitness back here with another video, and today we've got a real special one. We are less than a week out from the 2022 Mr. Olympia, and we have IFBB head judge Steve Weinberger, who showed up on Primetime Muscle for an interview, and he discusses last year's top 10 in the Open, and he goes real in depth on what he thought of them then and where he thinks they're going to land now. By the way, everybody go and follow Primetime Muscle. I'll put a link for it right here. It is the ESPN of bodybuilding. I'm telling you right now. It is fantastic coverage. Chris Cormier is on the panel every week. It's really good stuff. Anyway, let's hear what Steve had to say about some of these top guys. Check it out.
Big Ramy, let's start with this one.
Big Ramy last year was very disappointing in prejudging. Was not in the condition he should have been in. He honestly was lucky he squeaked out a win. Brandon Curry was all over him. If he looked the same way he looked prejudging at Night Show, I believe Brandon would have been Mr. Olympia.
So yeah, Big Ramy was getting pushed last year, and I figured he was getting pushed last year, you know, pretty hard by Brandon Curry especially, even though a lot of people said that Brandon was further behind Big Ramy than what we may have thought. But no, this doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. If Big Ramy does show up in condition, then he's going to do great. If he doesn't, well, he's going to get beaten by one of these other guys, because we are seeing some great update pictures from guys that are showing great condition.
Let's look at, I believe, Brandon Curry.
He was in great condition. He has great shape. He could still use a little more leg. If he could bring his legs up just a little bit, and he did from last year, if he brings them up just a little more, he's a dangerous guy. He's a guy you can't discount him.
So yeah, that's basically what I would expect as well, for Brandon to have to bring up the legs. I think everybody has been saying for a number of years now that if Brandon brought up his legs, that he would have been a multiple-time Mr. Olympia. Because like we've been saying, this is going to be the Olympia of shape and symmetry, and Brandon has it. And you can easily see the improvements that Brandon has made to his upper body, but have we seen his lower body very much? Not as much as the upper body, so we'll see if the improvements are going to be there. If he is, Steve's going to know, and we'll see how Steve scores him.
Hottie comes in great condition all the time. He's an amazing athlete, great conditioning. Hopefully he could just fix a couple of little things he has, like with his shoulders. And honestly, he's a threat for that title. He really is.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that Hottie has been a threat to the title for a number of years now. And I actually mentioned that in my prediction video about Hottie's shoulders. But it does seem like he fixed those shoulders. So if it was really only the shoulders that were going to be the problem there, and he fixed that, then it might be fair to say that Hottie is a legitimate threat for the title this year. I really hope Hottie shows up with that 2019 Vancouver Pro conditioning. That would just be a showstopper. We'll see what happens. Anyway, let's keep going here.
We're going to look at Hunter Labrada now. What does he have to do to make that leap up the ladder a point or two?
I'm looking at the picture right now with him, and I think he's done it. I think he needed more size. He has great shape, great conditioning. He needed more size this year to move up, and I believe he did it. And I think, you know, it'll be really fun to judge him and see if he can crack into that top three.
So yeah, of course, a lot of people thought that Nick Walker beat Hunter last year, but, you know, there's only one Steve Weinberger, there's only one head judge, and Steve clearly saw something in Hunter Labrada. I just don't think that Hunter has the conditioning. Now, that's purely based on the update pictures that we've been seeing. Maybe Hunter is going to come in with better conditioning. So nothing too unexpected, I find, right now so far from what we're hearing from Steve. But let's keep going here.
Nick is a mass monster. Shape is not his forte. His forte is muscle and conditioning. And we'll see what he looks like this year. I mean, I don't know if he could honestly improve on his shape. If he can, I'll take my hat off to him. But he's got that body that is just like a monster, just a dinosaur, full of muscle and full of veins. His waist was a little bit on the thick side, to tell you the truth, and that's how Hunter bypassed him last year.
Now this is getting interesting. This is getting very interesting. So Steve Weinberger thinks that Nick Walker needs to improve on his overall shape. Based on, again, the pictures that we've been seeing from Nick Walker leading up to the Olympia, I think that Nick might actually shock Steve Weinberger this year. You know, for Steve to say that it was the waistline that really got Nick. Yeah, in 2018 when Phil lost to Sean Roden, he actually made the argument. He went on Dave Palumbo's, he went on live with Dave Palumbo shortly after the Olympia, and he did an interview with Dave. Dave said that he spoke with Steve Weinberger, and Steve Weinberger told him how he lost because of the midsection. And Phil went on to argue how the midsection is only one thing, and Phil went on to argue about how he felt like he won 5 shots out of 8.
I go through each individual pose. And who looks better in a front double bicep? It doesn't matter what size your waist is. Your waist could be 2 inches bigger, but if your back is 2 inches wider, it's going to look the same, so it doesn't matter. So honestly, I'm not saying, oh, he's got a smaller waist, he wins. No. It's the symmetry and proportions of your physique that I compare to the bodies next to you.
I think we are going to see, and I think we have been seeing, a more symmetrical, a better flowing package from Nick. I still stand by that Nick is going to shock the world. Anyway, let's keep going.
William Bonac, and you look at his lead-up pictures, where did he need to improve last year, and do we think he's done it?
He needs more size. I felt like maybe he didn't have enough time to train. He has the shape, he has the muscles. He just needs more size. He's lost size, especially in his legs. He has to bring his legs back up, and that's what he needs to do to be a threat this year. He needs to bring those legs up.
William Bonac needs more size, according to Steve Weinberger. That's crazy. According to William, his legs did come back up. So, I mean, to say that he needs more size is just crazy. Now, mind you, he wasn't referring to the upper body in particular. In fact, he did say specifically his legs.
This is why everybody, they want the bigger, better, beaster.
Yes.
So you start putting the young guns up against him. Hunter, Nick, Ian, now Blessing and Andrew, that are just big. How does he overcome that?
With bigger legs.
That is really crazy to hear that William Bonac, who's considered one of the most muscled guys on that stage, and he has been considered one of those guys with just so much muscle per square inch. To hear Steve Weinberger say that, wow, I don't know if William could put on any more muscle. I mean, he's massive. Let's see what else Steve had to say.
Andrew Jack, I saw him in
Vegas?
Yes, in Vegas at the at Flex Lewis's gym.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed. I mean, for a big guy and a tall guy to be really pretty much filled out was very impressive. He had a huge back, huge chest, huge arms. He's a threat. He really is a threat. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. If he could break into the top 8, he won.
Yeah, top 8, top 10, that's pretty realistic for Andrew Jack, and that'd be a great showing for his first Olympia. Just remember, guys, I mean, this is his first year competing in the IFBB. He won his pro qualifier at the Arnold Amateur, and then he went on to win the Texas Pro all within a year, and now he's going to the Olympia, and you've got the head judge telling you that top 8 could be a possibility? That's pretty good in my books.
Let's talk about Derek, because I think it was, March, April?
When he guest posed at Jim Mannion's Pittsburgh show, I honestly nearly fell off my chair. I couldn't believe he went from 212 champion to I think he weighed about 260. He honestly shocked the hell out of me. His symmetry and balance makes him very dangerous to everybody. He's not a top 10 guy. He is a dangerous guy in that upper echelon of the Mr. Olympia.
Steve is speaking very, very highly of Derek Lunsford. You know, they go on to talk about how when it came to the Pittsburgh Pro Show where Derek did that guest posing and he came out and the internet exploded when those pictures dropped. The only reason that he actually got to do that was because Big Ramy didn't show up. He had no prior knowledge of doing this. They just happened to ask him. He got up on stage and he stood toe-to-toe with these guys. And ever since, everybody has been saying how Derek Lunsford is really going to make an impact in that open lineup. So yeah, clearly Steve is going to have his eyes on Derek.
And as another one of these new up-and-comers, you're talking about Blessing.
Right. I can't believe the improvements he made, but he still needs to bring those legs up. He's brought them up. He's done a great job, I didn't think he could do what he did so far. If he continues, Andrew Jack better be careful. He has a great personality.
and so-
we need more people like him in
Yeah.
the sport to fire up the sport. I mean, he's got a mouth and a half.
Yeah, and you know, as the emphasis is going to be there for conditioning and flow and symmetry for this Olympia especially, Blessing does have all of those things. So yeah, he brings up the legs, and there you go. Steve Weinberger is, you heard it from Steve Weinberger himself. Blessing could be the next Andrew Jack. So maybe we will see that call out with Nick and Blessing someday. I still stand by the fact that it won't be this year. But you know what? Just a quick note there on Blessing. I did a video there a little while ago about him. I thought about it a little bit. Maybe I was a little bit too hard on Blessing. I mean, look, I like some of these guys that are kind of goofy, you know. Antoine Vaillant, he does some goofy stuff, and I really enjoy him, you know. So, I mean, there's definitely a place for Blessing. I just don't want it to be misunderstood. I've got a lot of respect for Blessing. I do like Blessing's physique. I do think that Blessing can make the top 10 someday, and I did say that in my video. But yeah, this year, he brings up the legs, and I think he can do it. We'll see how he does.
Michael Krizo has shoulders and arms that I've never seen before. Unbelievable. Great body. He has to improve his back. If he gets his back to match the rest of his body, everybody better watch out.
Yeah, so confirmation from Steve Weinberger there. Just like everybody's been saying, Michael Krizo brings up his back, and he's going to be a real threat. But even still, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people do have Michael Krizo in that top 10. And after the updates that I saw yesterday, I posted a video about his last chest and triceps day before he traveled over to the US at 5 days out. Yeah, I could have placed him higher. I haven't been 8th in my predictions. Maybe I could have placed him higher. Just remember the other thing that Michael Krizo has to improve, you guys. If Michael Krizo shows up on stage and he's really, really breathing heavy, that's one of the things that's really going to affect him this Olympia. So it's not just his back. He has to be able to hit those poses, and he has to be able to stay conditioned when he's doing them. So we'll see if he improved on that. So there you go, guys. You're hearing it straight from the head judge himself, Steve Weinberger, less than a week out from the Olympia. This is who he's going to be looking at. But one of my favorite parts of this interview, and I'm just going to highlight it here before I end the video, you guys, was this part right here.
I have a question for you, Steve. You know, 1999 Mr. Olympia, you had some of the greatest bodybuilders of all times. You know, you had Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, Kevin Levrone. Based on what you see, this lineup, these new guys, we're talking about, you know, Big Ramy, Andrew Jack, Hadi, Brandon, Hunter, Nick. Do you see this as one of the deepest Mr. Olympia lineups of all times?
Going back to 1999, yes.
There you have it, guys. It could be one of the greatest Olympias of all time. You heard it from Steve Weinberger himself. Anyways, that's it for me here at EP09 Fitness. Thank you again for tuning in. Leave me a comment down below. What did you think about Steve's comments? Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.